Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, so today I'm going to give you a quick overview of what a service blueprint is, especially for those who have never heard of it before and why it's a powerful asset for communication. But before we go into that, who am I? I was born in a town called Buxton, in Derbyshire, roughly an hour from Manchester in England. And I moved to Italy at the age of 10, not by myself, of course, but with my parents. And now I live in Tuscany and have two beautiful daughters. That's not me, by the way, in the photo. It's my youngest daughter, Rebecca. And yes, I am a Manchester United fan, if anybody's asking. I'm very passionate about anything related to design, photography, or music. And there's a saying that curiosity killed the cat. Well, I'm very curious by nature too, and constantly trying to solve a problem on my own rather than delegating. So here's a little story. I own a classic 1968 Vespa Gran Turismo. I don't know if anybody knows what it is. It's a scooter, it's a classic scooter, and it needed to be restored. So 3 years ago, I had this stupid idea that I could do it myself. I had no prior knowledge whatsoever about motors. I was like, this can't be that hard. I mean, it's only a hairdryer with 2 wheels. It has like 5 cables, 2 for the lights, 2 for the brakes, 1 for the clutch. So I started watching videos on YouTube, you know, like you do nowadays. Anyway, long story short, after working nearly every night for 6 months till 2 a.m. in the morning and 1,500 euros later, I did finish it, but I was knackered. So, yeah, there's many DIY cases like that. I could go on for hours, but there it is. That's my curiosity. And when I set my mind on a problem, I've got to find a solution. Which comes to the next bit. I'm officially a senior UX and UI designer in Sintra, but I like to label myself just a designer because I started my career in graphic design, designing logos, business cards, flyers, posters, invitations, blah, blah, blah. And then I slowly shifted to web design because, as some of you might know, back then web designers were the new rock stars. And this was around 2004, 2005 maybe. And I started using HTML and CSS for the first time in Dreamweaver for a friend of mine who was ranking #1 in Google for luxury villas in Tuscany. But at the same time, Macromedia Flash was going mainstream and becoming so popular, everyone wanted the Flash side. And soon we were blindly building Flash animations to make our clients happy and getting the work done. Then HTML soon made a comeback with the rise of responsive web design. And you know better than me, you know the rest. So anyway, in my experience, we're constantly having to adapt to change and never seem to stop learning. That's why I prefer to cut out the senior and the UX and the UI labels and just stick to the basics. So I say I'm a designer or problem solver because they're probably the same thing. So constant change is a new norm. Fast forward to today, and now more than ever, we're living in a fast-paced environment. What used to take years now just takes days. After new business models, new technologies, climate change, pandemics, just to name a few. I mean, just look at 2020. What a shit year that was. But probably, in some respects, it's done us a favour. It's made us realise we need to get out of our comfort zones, embrace the change and adapt to it. This doesn't mean following new trends or using the latest tech just because it's mainstream. If you think about it, like where would I be today if I was a senior Flash designer? I probably wouldn't even have a job. So how do we deal with this constant change? In my opinion, I think we can avoid working in silos. We have to avoid working in silos and start communicating from a holistic point of view. And we can bridge the gap between design and development and other departments, obviously, but today we're talking about design and development. So sorry, marketing team, we're not talking about you today. And the only way to do this is by finding better ways to communicate effectively. And the service blueprint turns out to be a powerful tool for communication. So what is a service blueprint? if you look it up on Google, there are many definitions of a service blueprint, but I made up one myself. And I define it as a bird's eye view from top to bottom of how a customer's experience is delivered as a whole within an organization. In other words, it offers a complete understanding of a service by visually representing the relationships between all the actors involved, both digital. For those of you that don't know what bird's eye view means, it's a view from a very high place that allows you to see a larger area. And sorry for my Northern English accent, so if anybody doesn't understand what I'm saying, you can ask James, he'll translate for you. A fun fact. The fun fact is, to start blueprinting effectively, we need to shift our mindset and focus on one thing and one thing only, the customer experience. Because guess what? Who runs businesses? Customers. No customers, no sales. No sales, no businesses. So what is the basic anatomy of a blueprint? The basic structure of a service blueprint consists of two main areas separated by a visibility line. At the top, we have the front stage or visible area. This is where we place the customer's journey and everything they see and who or what they interact with. Then we have the backstage or the hidden area at the bottom, what the customer doesn't see and where all the magic happens behind the scenes to respond to the customer's actions. And typically, there are 5 core elements of a blueprint, which are the touch points. This is what customers and employees come in contact with, such as devices, physical stores, signage, email, etc. Then we have the customer's actions, what customers actually do experience. So this is also the customer's journey. They either visit a website, place an order, talk to an employee. Then the front stage is what the customers see and who they interact with. So it could be an employee at a physical store, a chatbot, or whatever. Below the visibility line, we have the backstage and the invisible actions. This is what the employee actions look like and the customers doesn't see, such as an employee writes content for the website, they process an order, make preparations, dispatch orders, etc. And then we have the support processes. It's the internal and third-party activities that support the employee, such as software, shipping services, payment systems, etc. But have a look at this sketch. I love it because it's a perfect example of the basic anatomy of a service blueprint. We have the customer, in this case, the audience. The front stage is what they see and interact with, which are the actors. Then we have the backstage, what they don't see, such as makeup artists, costume designers, technicians, and so on. And then we have the processes, all the prep work, contracts, regulations, safety, in order for all of it to work and serve the customer. So why should we use this tool in the first place? First of all, it's flexible and scalable. There are no set rules. They can accommodate as much or as little detail as needed, depending on the service, and they can show high-level overviews or detailed steps. Visible customer actions and their relationship within the service. For each customer action, we create a column. And as we're moving from top to bottom, we add the relationships so that the particular action for each actor or touch point helps us see the service from a holistic point of view, not subjective. Exposes all the work going on behind the scenes. It's an in-depth analysis tool. So it's a visual representation of technologies, processes, actors involved in the service, and makes the independencies between different teams and different services clearly visible. It all boils down to having a single source of truth, a visual map to guide us through the process as we design and develop for the service. So a service blueprint allows the different teams that collaborate on a service, even if they're in different locations in the world, to have a common basis for dialogue and comparison. It should be referenced as a single source of truth for all departments directly involved in a service. It's also a powerful tool for agile communication. So using a show, don't tell approach makes it easier to communicate and share ideas because we're both, as designers or developers, looking at the same thing and sharing our ideas visually. Will inspire insights and conversations to help identify pain points or strengths of the service. So in this case, if we look at the blueprint, we can tell where there could be any pain points, or where we could track more clients, and what have you. And it's future-proof. If a service needs to change in the future, we will already have a solid foundation as a reference, making it a lot easier to communicate with other departments and teammates. Everyone can chip in and share their insights as long as they stay true to the overall customer experience, which is at the base of any service blueprint. Last but not least, it's not a designer's tool, but it's a collaborative tool. For all the members from different teams, Service Blueprint should represent a living artifact to be updated continuously throughout the project. The primary tool for collaboration and alignment across all disciplines, a space to share useful insights necessary for teams to build out the new service, and a convenient mechanism for tracking team conversation and decisions. That's a brief overview. The conclusion is the service blueprints are an amazing way to fully understand the process related to a service. It gives us an amazing opportunity to get everyone on the same page and communicate in the same language. In the fast-paced world where we're living in now, the line between product and service is becoming increasingly blurred. So it only makes sense to start learning how to deliver and use a service blueprint in our work and get everyone back to the same table and back communicating with the same language, and bring designers and developers and obviously other departments as well, all on the same page, following a service blueprint. That's me. I was pretty quick.
Thanks for that, John T. That was pretty interesting and very clear. I don't see any questions, so I don't know if anyone would like to ask Jonathon something. But yeah, feel free to contact him. But there's one question actually.
Someone was saying, yeah, how can I get that accent?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, thanks for that. Very interesting.
Yeah, no problem.
And yeah, you'll find this presentation as well, obviously in the email with the contact details on presentations. So thanks again.
Yeah, you can find me on the interwebs at John T Bowers. That's my handle on Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah, I'll include all of that in the email. So don't worry. They'll get in touch probably.
Okie dokie.
So our next speaker, our last speaker, is Matt Golden. Matt, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh, fantastic. How are you? You all right?
Sure.
Someone is a front-end developer. He will talk about choosing the right technology for your project based on specifications and design. And he will include examples of less common technologies and how to use them. So the stage is yours, Matt.